All right, good day, everyone. The topic we'll be looking at today is Islamic worldview when it comes to Ummah, which is a global community, versus what we now call nationalism, trying to understand what separates these two discernible terms. So, as a scholar of Arabic and Islamic studies, or as a student of Islam and global citizenship, it is essential to understand that the Islamic worldview does not treat human identity merely in terms of national or ethnic affiliation, but rather from the perspective of faith and collective moral responsibility. So at the core of this perspective is the concept of Ummah. And we'll talk about Ummah. It's a divinely inspired global community of believers that are deeply rooted in unity under Allah, in unity under Islamic justice, mutual care, and spiritual brotherhood. So this ideal transcends man-made borders, race, tribe, and language, and focuses instead on shared beliefs and righteous conduct. So the Quranic notion of Ummah, such as in Surah Al-Anbiya, Quran 21 verse 92, it emphasizes a universal identity among Muslims. Historically, this was practically implemented during the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, leadership in Medina, where diverse groups were bound not by tribal affiliations, but by ethical and spiritual ties. And the Charter of Medina itself reflects this universality, showing that Islam supports pluralism without undermining unity. On the other hand, nationalism is quite different from the global community which we refer to as Ummah, especially in its secular and modern Western form. In terms of its construct identity around territorial and ethnic boundaries, because this is often at the cost of spiritual and ethical universality. So nationalism can unite a people, but it often promotes us versus them approach, us versus them mentalities, which Islam warns against, particularly when it leads to arrogance, disunity, or the marginalization of others. So Surah Ali Imran also points at this, which is Quran 3 verse 103, and shows that it is a clear condemnation of such division, urging believers to hold fast to the rope of Allah and not be divided. And the real tension today arises as Muslims navigate post-colonial national frameworks. And we now see it today where states often promote loyalty to national symbols over religious solidarity. And this tension itself threatens the integrity of the Ummah ideal, especially when political agendas override Quranic values. Nevertheless, Islam acknowledges the reality of culture and national diversity, because this oftentimes births a whole lot of questions as regards, won't we rather represent our culture as against bringing us together as one particular ummah with just only one culture? And this is also highlighted in Surah Al-Ujra, Quran 49 verse 31, a state that but sets righteousness and not rationality as the true standard of honor. So ultimately, the Islamic worldview promotes a global moral order where believers prioritize justice, where they prioritize compassion and unity. So while Islam does not reject national identity, it requires that such identities remain subordinate to the higher allegiance owed to the Ummah and to Allah. So in the revival of this worldview is critical in an era dominated by nationalist sentiment and fragmentation. And your assignment here is also you have to look at, in not more than 2 pages, analyze how the concept of Ummah in Islam provides a viable alternative to modern nationalism, and use Quranic references and examples from Islamic history to support your analysis and discuss the implications of this contrast for contemporary Muslim societies. Thank you for your time.